Dear students, hope you will be fine. We are in the second lecture of this chapter, which is titled The Many and the None, written by Bansuri Taneja and Ashish Kothari. Both are the, we can say, environment concerned persons, and they have brought our attention towards their essay that we should also remain concerned about our environment, about the biodiversity that is surrounding uh, surrounding we people, and we are living in their association. Their students, as in the chapter or in the introduction and the first lecture, we got to know about that we must struggle to strike a balance between economic development and conservation of this biodiversity in order to ensure a happy living on this planet. Now, in the second lecture, here we are going to further summarize this essay or explain this essay that the writers they have given us a good illustration to explain to us the alarming reality about biodiversity of life on earth. They illustrated in such a way that when a ship loses one nut, the loss seems very minor, but if the ship goes losing nut after nut, the loss becomes alarming. Then the sinking of the ship is a reality, or we can say is a certainty. In the same way, if we go on losing species one after another that sustain the earth, our survival will also be impossible. Dear students, in this essay or in this chapter, the writers have brought our attention that there are global changes like change in climate, hydrological patterns, and other ecological functions on which we all survive continue to assume threatening proportions. So these warnings, they are basically a challenge. They are not taken as non-seriously, but we have to be very cautious. We have to be serious about them because it will be dangerous to forget that biological diversity is closely linked to our lives, and the loss of biodiversity will affect the coming generation. So here, dear students, we can say that writers have brought our attention that we should not be selfish to think that the earth is meant to serve our needs only, as we are capable of thinking and feeling, but we must realize that loss of biodiversity will have its negative impact on the rest of the living world as well. Dear students, biodiversity concerns all of us and is very directly related to the everyday lives of India's ecosystem people. You know that hundreds of small farmers, fisher folk, herders, and the hunter gatherers they depend on the diversity of species, genetic varieties, and ecosystem services for their livelihood and cultural lives. Dear students, any loss of it, that means any loss of the biological diversity, is a direct attack on their survival. Here we can say that diversity of species of animals and plants and microorganisms is valuable to the rural communities. Jagat Singh Chaudhary of the Kuman Himalayas has rightly laid due stress on the diversity of species as of the greatest importance to the ecosystems people in our country. Dear students, any loss of biodiversity is a direct attack on their survival. Here we can say that diversity of species of animals and plants and or is valuable to the rural communities. So that means it has to be realized that biological diverse farming systems they are the future of our agriculture. So, yeah, talking too much about high technology is not enough. Agriculture scientists they must know that in the future interest of India's agriculture, wide separate biopiracy is a danger. Widespread biopiracy is a danger. So it has to be stopped here. So we can say that dear students, individual interests they must be subordinated to the corporate interests for the well-being of the humanity in our country as well as in the we can say in the whole world. So we can say here that it is undoubtedly true that India has benefited from commercialization and globalization. This fact must not lead us to ignore the bad effects of globalization and commercialization. But we can here say that the interests of the majority of the Indians they must not be ignored. We shall have to strike a balance between economic development and observation of this biodiverse life. Dear students, if this is not done, our survival will be at stake. So, Seattle, the Native American chief, has rightly said that when all the eagles and fishes have gone and the waters killed by pollution, only then people will realize that money can't be eaten. So this is the summary, or we can say explanation of this chapter. So dear students, now let's talk, we can say, about the theme of this chapter. Basically, this essay is based on the theme that no doubt we have benefited from commercialization and globalization, but we must be concerned about their adverse effects. So, biodiversity concerns all of us, or we can say it is directly related to India's ecosystem people. People in the cities have benefited from commercialization and globalization, but people in the countryside, they can survive only if biodiversity is preserved. So that means a balance between the economic development and the conservation of biodiversity of life has to be devised at all costs. Otherwise, our survival will not be possible. Dear students, loss of biodiversity is linked to the survival of the people. Hope that you might have understood it. Inshallah, you will be capable, or we can say, you will be able to answer the questions following at the end of the chapter. Thank you very much.